Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. Here on The Point of View, we pick the right topics, we get the right guests, and we ask them the relevant questions on issues that matter to you. We're live tonight with a very big story. Well, a very eventful day indeed. Started off with a raid on the house of former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta, a publication accusing the OSP of being behind it, a press conference by the OSP denying the raid but declaring the former Finance Minister a fugitive. And as if that was not enough, the Attorney General also held a press conference this evening explaining why he's discontinued a number of cases and filed a nolle prosequi. We'll delve into all of that in the next hour with two legal minds. Stay with us.
When on campus and not well, I worry no more. Thanks to Dragnet. With the Dragnet app, I can chat with a pharmacist anytime for my medications, and they are delivered to me right here on campus.
I am a trader. If I need drugs, I cannot leave my goods and visit the pharmacy. All I need to do is click on the call feature on the Dragnet app and I speak with the pharmacist. The drugs are delivered to me right here. Dragnet.
To search for my medication could be very frustrating, but now with the Dragnet app, I'm able to upload all my prescriptions and have them delivered to me wherever I am. The Dragnet app also allows me to order refills for my mother to treat her chronic illness. Dragnet delivers all the medications to her on time. It's so reliable and convenient. Download the Dragnet app from the Google Play Store or App Store. Dragnet, your #1 online pharmacy.
Welcome back. So tonight we'll be speaking to two legal minds on a very eventful day within our legal jurisprudence, within the issue of public prosecutions, and just good governance generally. But before that, let's hear from the office or the OSP himself. So the man who is in charge of that office held a press conference this morning declaring our former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta a fugitive. He also went ahead to spell out what he considered to be his crimes and then sent a statement around the raid of the man's house, denying the OSP's involvement. Here are highlights of that particular press briefing.
Contractual arrangements between Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited and the Ghana Revenue Authority for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. 2. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Zhaochen Technology BXC. 3. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral project. 4. Activities and payments in respect of a contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of 307 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 305 CDI ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. And 5. Payments out of and utilization of the tax refund account of Ghana Revenue Authority. The purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. No serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Ofori-Atta before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Ofori-Atta in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction. The OSP declares Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Ofori-Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily or the OSP will enforce your return. Mr. Ofori-Atta, the OSP did not cause any persons, however uniformed or bedecked, to raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025 or on any other day. Mr. Ofori-Atta, that could not have been the OSP, and that is not our style. If the OSP enters your premises, you will not be in doubt as to whether it was the OSP that had come there, and your lawyers will not have cause to do an inquiry ascertaining whether it was the OSP. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation.
Welcome back. So that was Kisi Ejabing speaking earlier to the press. In studio, I have lawyer Ofori-Atta, who's MP for Menchia South. Welcome to the show. Good evening.
Thank you, my brother.
Later, we'll be joined by Martin Pebu, who is a private legal practitioner. Martin, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening. Fine. Yes, sir.
Yes, busy day for you lawyers. You've caused all of us to go and start reading our law books.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Martin, how are you?
A good job.
Yeah.
Let me thank you guys for a good job done in the election 2024, the whole year.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys and Joy FM did great, and TV3.
Thank you.
How can we put the MPP out for their bad governance? I hope they will learn a lesson and come back better next time.
Martin, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. Good. So I hope you heard me. That you guys should go and learn governance. The arrogance was too much. The posturing as if you were the only Ghanaians. So please learn. Don't bring somebody in the nature of a Kufuado again.
Okay, Martin, let's take it one by one.
That's your judgment.
It's been a very long day for a lot of us because around 11 p.m. we got notice of the raid in Ofori-Atta's house. And then in the morning, the Herald newspaper said it was the OSP behind it. We called the OSP. They said they were going to do a press conference, which they had already planned, and that they believed that the whole thing was a setup and that they were not involved. And then they declared Ofori-Atta wanted. We'll come to AG later. But what do you make of the past 24 hours in terms of the raid against the man and the OSP's tough talking that Mr. Ofori-Atta will find you wherever you are? I heard you earlier today say that you think the OSP left it a little late. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Mr. Avle, okay, let's say Ben, so to make it easier. Look, it's been a lot of disappointment for me. A lot. I'm extremely disappointed that the OSP allowed Ken to go, and then now they are crying all over that Ken is a wanted man, he's a fugitive. I don't get it. My thesis is that, look, they have so many men from September 2023 where they were given clearance over about 230 minimum, there about 230. So my quick synopsis is that even assuming 50 declined, minimum about 180 persons came in. These are supposed to be professionals, etc. So when you have so many professionals to help you do investigations, why do you take the job away from them and then you do go slow investigations? Because look, Ben, I'm telling you that I can't believe that Kisi Ejabing started work on this brief right from December 2023 when this SML matter broke with diligent prosecutors and other investigators. I don't believe it. I will never believe it that he started in good time. No, because one would have expected that he would have reached this level a long time ago. Because he said it's now that he's notifying Ken that he's a suspect. From the interview, he's now notifying Ken more than a year on. Why? What were they doing? Is it rocket science? This is not a brief that looks overly complex. No. These ones, they are mostly procurement breaches. That's what they are. Mostly procurement breaches and lack of value for money. So I don't understand how this could have taken so long. I was telling Selom, Adonu, your colleague, that this case is different from the type that they did against Seth Blatter, the one FBI did against Seth Blatter. You know, football, when you want to catch corruption, it's more complex and, you know, very difficult to detect. So the FBI took years. This one, they were pretty much straight. Either SML had the right, either the Public Procurement Authority did the right thing by giving sole sourcing contract or not. Because, you know, SML went 3 times. They didn't get it. Then they changed their name, right? And then got it. And then you see how Ofori-Atta was looming large in name. This doesn't look that complex. OSP sat down for that long, and now that Ofori-Atta says he needs to go up for medical care, that's the time you say he's wanted. And I think, you see, there's one part that maybe Mr. Kissie Jabin needs to look at it again. The man is produced a medical, what do you call it, excuse duty. Yes, that's how we call it in Ghana. That is going for medical health. Have you called the hospital? Me, I'm looking at it from the fact that he had a year. If you couldn't do jack in a year, the time the man says he's going for medical care, that's the time you say you need him. I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Martin, do you think he's been emboldened by the change in government, which is why he probably started hastening after the election? Because you do know that he had held press conferences before complaining about the previous government frustrations of him and how he said the judiciary was not cooperating. So from a legal point of view, you may be right, but from a political point of view, maybe he felt that he could move quickly now that the election was over and there was a new government. What do you think about that?
Yes, that's partly. That's, you know, it's an eclectic, we do an eclectic approach. So I'm trying to say it's not just one factor, right? Naturally, yes, a lot of institutions, even journalists have been emboldened because generally JM has a better record at that. But since I'm looking at the brief, this SML brief, it's not rocket science. So I don't want to think that he couldn't do much about it because Akufo-Addo was in power. No. If he really wanted to work, he could do it. My sense of it is that I think his management style comes into serious question. Yeah. Kissie Jabin's management style must be seriously scrutinized. Because look, as I said, he got troops, at least 180, as I'm saying, I'm assuming a 50 decline, but I'm sure not up to 50 decline. He got troops, and he had a 1 year. And he was being sluggish, extremely sluggish.
Okay.
I don't think.
Fair enough. But aren't you being a bit fatalistic in the sense that there are 5 cases apart from the SML one, and the fact that the man is not in the country does not end the matter, because as he said, they would pursue getting him to come down. So it's better late than never, isn't it? So, and number 2, a man is innocent and proven guilty. So the fact that Mr. Kissie Jabin says he wants to question the man, that does not even necessarily mean that anything has been established prima facie. So aren't we being too hasty in even saying that the OSP is delayed? It's almost like you've presumed the man guilty before he's gone through any process.
Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, it's because the brief looks pretty much straight. This in law, generally a lot of it looks like open and shut. Open and shut means that, look, it's black and white. It's either there were grounds to give sole sourcing contract or there were not. If you look at the Public Procurement Act, if you want to give, single source, they keep pointing out that we should be saying single source, but the sole source appears to be more popular. Right. Look, if you want to do single source, there are grounds in the Act. What made SML suitable for single source, where they had no track record in the field? These were basically timber merchants metamorphosed into providing this revenue assurances. They had no track record. What at all is in SML that made single source the most appropriate method to use? So you can see, and you see KPMG. I think KPMG just did only economic analysis. They were looking at it with legal eyes. You see how in about how many weeks, 6 or so weeks, KPMG came out, or even if it's more, but you see that KPMG came out within a reasonable time.
Okay.
And yet he had a lot more time.
Okay.
He had a lot of qualified people around there, and I don't know what they were doing. Is it that he wasn't giving them the work to do, or they were all sleeping on the job?
Okay.
So, Bernard, what I want us to do is that he must come and account for his management style. We can't continue to just give him support. Look,
All right.
those days where you just come and say Akufo-Addo is hindering the work, they are over. No,
Okay.
they are over. If we were
All
to
right.
do that, a lot would just get swept under the carpet. I am not satisfied with the pace of work
All
on
right.
all of these cases.
All right, so hold on there. I'll come back to you on another matter. Let me come to MP lawyer. Martin is saying the man delayed, but I've heard you earlier. You actually think he's rushing.
No, I very respectfully.
Yeah.
Good evening to your listeners
Yeah.
and viewers. The era where there was this whole abuse of power is far gone. Our laws must be made to work. Bernard, whether the man is present or not, the question we need to all ask ourselves is what stage is the OSP in terms of his investigations? Is he considering Ken Ofori-Atta as an accused person or a person of interest? That is he done with his investigation such that he has established that there's a prima facie charge against Ken Ofori-Atta? You see, Ghana is the creation of law, and we must respect the law. It doesn't matter whether you hate the person, whether in your imagination you think that the person has committed an offense. It doesn't matter. We must, begin to enjoy the fruits of the fight we all pursued before 1992, which is that even the worst of criminal that the person that you've even seen
Caught red-handed,
committing an offense must be taken through due process of law and not an imagination of somebody. Otherwise, we risk going into the very era that we all wanted to avoid. We must, let me repeat, begin to enjoy the fruits of the battle we all waged before the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, which is that let rule of law prevail. You see, you can say, hey, procurement breaches, whatever you want to talk about. At the end of the day, right, the question is, has anybody established a prima facie case against Ken Ofori-Atta? If no prima facie case has been established against him, you only need him to assist you with your investigation. Can you proceed with the investigations with or without him? In any event, he will come and write a statement, right? Other people, there are other actors around. He's not the only person necessary for the investigations because there are other people around. The contract was signed by somebody. The procurement processes, whether or not it took place, is obvious, right? PPA is there, and so on and so forth. And so, if you need him for the investigation, that will be different. If you don't need him for the investigation, that's also different. If you need him for the investigation, it's not available. Charge him. There's a procedure for charging a person under our laws. Even when the person is absent, there's a procedure. Otherwise, people who leave the shores of this country, right, will go scot-free. It is not for nothing that somebody like Sedina Temaklo, even in her absence, right, the processes still went on. She was convicted and she was sentenced in absentia, right? And so let the law work. That's the problem I've always had with the OSP. It's the same thing he did in the case of Charles Bisu. Right? He gets frustrated with the court processes. So he thinks that the trial in the media works for him. Right? But that is not the Ghana we all dreamt
Let me get you
of.
clear. You're saying that even in the absence of Mr. Ofori-Atta, the OSP, depending on what he believes Mr. Ofori-Atta has done, can proceed with whatever he wants to do.
Yes.
Without being stalled by his absence.
So let me ask you. So what is the status of Ken Ofori-Atta as far as the OSP's investigations are concerned? Has he charged him? Is he a person of interest? So what power does he even have to declare him wanted without recourse to the court of law? Ghana is a country of, is a creation of law. We must respect the laws of this country. It's the same thing he did with Charles Bisu. Let me tell you. He had come out, made the media in Ghana believe that he had procured an order for arrest. And so there was a whole broadcast in this country that he had procured an order for arrest. When we went to court, he denied the existence of the order for arrest. It was on that basis that the judge made the order for interim injunction. Subsequently, he says there's no order for arrest. There's no order for arrest. There's no order for arrest. Because he is aware that sitting in his office, he doesn't have the power. He must go to the district court to procure an order for arrest.
But can he not summon a person to appear before his investigators regarding allegations?
Oh, he can.
So is it not in that context that he's declaring the man wanted, that he wants the man to appear to assist in investigations, and the man is not availing himself?
Look, under the constitution of Ghana,
Yeah.
you have a right not to incriminate yourself.
Okay.
Are you aware? And so that is why when a policeman confronts you on a matter, he reads to you your caution statement that you have the right to remain silent. Otherwise, anything that you say will be used against you in a court of competent jurisdiction. What it simply means is that even if I appear in your office, I can choose not to talk. And so invariably, you don't need me to proceed with your investigations because I cannot speak to incriminate myself. So the presence of Ken Ofori-Atta in the office of the special prosecutor is not necessary.
It's neither here nor there in your
It's
view.
neither here nor there. If you have done your own investigations without his assistance and you form the view that there is a prima facie case against him, charge him.
Even without speaking to him?
Charge him.
On the face of the evidence you've gathered?
Yes, that is why we say prima facie, on the face of the charge. Right? Because when he appears before you, he can choose to keep quiet. Okay, so are we saying that if he keeps quiet, you cannot charge him?
I get you.
Is that what you are saying? And so if he can keep quiet, then you don't need his presence.
But assisting in investigations may not only be in talking. It could also be in asking you to provide some information, whether maybe documents.
Go to court. Procure an order. When he appeared before us, did he say that he has procured an order of the court for him to produce a certain document or material?
Interesting.
That he cannot find him to enforce that order of the court?
So in your view, what is he doing? What is the OSP doing with this?
It is just the normal public show he has always embarked upon. It is
that how, but you've cited only one example.
We saw Cecilia Adapa. He gets frustrated when he goes to court and lawyers come to face him. He thinks that whenever he has to prosecute a matter, a lawyer shouldn't even stand in front of him.
Is that what he has told you?
You see, if he walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it is a duck. It is a duck.
Interesting. Let me take Mr. Kwebu's reaction briefly to this, and then we move to the next topic. So, Mr. Kwebu, your colleague here is actually saying, look, there's nothing preventing OSP from doing his job, even in the absence of Ken Ofori-Atta. From a legal point of view, do you agree with him?
No. You see, let's say, yes, I agree to some extent, but it can't be 100%. You see, he is largely right that it's the prosecution's burden to find their evidence. It's not for Ofori-Atta to give it to them, even though sometimes an accused or a suspect can confess. So, but for that's where I depart from you. Yes, the investigator.
So you are hoping that you appear and confess. You are hoping that he can.
Let him finish. Today we are just don't worry. Let him finish.
Yes, because you don't know what will happen. So, but for that's where you overstated it. You have a strong point, but you've overstated it. Listen. Because there is a chance that he can confess, you have to offer it to him. So in our jurisprudence, it's not the norm, Bernard, and you can call me Martin. The people is too much, okay? Martin, or just people, but not the mister.
Okay.
You see, Bernard, the thing is that in our jurisprudence, what Bafo said is law that the prosecution should find their evidence. It's not for Ofori-Atta to give it to them. But also in practice, there are some people who, for some reasons, which we can't go into, it's even beyond the scope of this program, they later feel remorseful and want to spill the beans. So you have to offer it to them. So as I sit here, Bernard, this is my 18th year at the bar, I can't really recall a case in which the police just took the case to court and didn't offer the accused to write his statement. So see the practice. So Bernard, I need us to get this very well. 18 years, I practice very well. I mean, everybody knows that I go to court. That's why I can talk on the media, because I'm able to make a living out of the courtroom. I haven't been involved or seen another lawyer discuss a case in which the prosecution have gone to court and have no statement at all from the accused. No, they'll offer it to you. It's for you to write on it. No comment. Yes, and if you write, I mean, there are some statutory parts. You heard Bafo say your Miranda rights, your right to silence, right to cancel, blah, blah, blah. So they'll write all that on the paper and now say write. Or if you cannot write, speak the language you speak, and then they'll get interpreter, then they'll write. So when it comes to that point, it's within your right to say no comment. And if you say no comment, then they say, is that all? You say yes. Then they say, okay, sign against it. So that's the practice. So it has to be offered to him. But sometimes, if you are lucky, it's offered to the opportunity to make a statement. And the person goes ahead to confess straight. Look, let me show you the treason case. Let me just show you one case. The treason case that ACP Agode was just added when he was not a part, because Godfrey Dami wanted to just show him power, right? There is one of the accused persons, I think that's Zipi. Look, they had no evidence against him. But when he was offered the opportunity to write, then he put himself right in the suit and incriminated himself left, right, center. If you read the judgment, you can see the judges were like, "Ooh, it doesn't happen that often." So he offered himself up. The prosecution had no evidence against him. So therefore, don't overstate it. Just like what I've done. Let's do it that way.
All right. Let me give you. That's fair enough. Let me not belabor the point. I wanted a quick comment from both of you on the raid itself and the way it's been reported. We don't have all day.
No. So please, let me say.
You want to respond to that?
You see, law. You don't make assumptions. What he's saying is an assumption that I'm assuming that you appear and confess. Right?
No, he says give him a chance.
Wait. The fact that he's admitted that there's the possibility of the person not commenting, right, is enough. It's enough for us to accept that in a criminal matter, it is possible for the prosecution to proceed without a comment or a statement from the accused person. The question that should be answered by him is that in that circumstance, what is the prosecution going to do? If the prosecution's case cannot be sustained, if you cannot procure a safe conviction, right, without the statement of the accused person or the interested person, then what's going to happen to the matter? So you don't make assumptions. Martin should refrain from making assumptions.
Well, there are two legal positions that we can live with. I want to proceed. I want to move forward. I want to move forward.
No, but you see, the way he said, bar for practice. I've also practiced for 15 years. He knows. I've lived and drank in our courtroom. From the High Court to the Supreme Court. That has been my life for the last 15 years. And he's aware. Very respectfully, 3 years difference. I agree. But the complexity of the cases you've handled over a period of time determines...
No problem.
You
I wanted to ask you...
So it's not about the number of years at the bar, even though we defer to...
Bar is fine. In Parliament today, a lot of the arguments were more about the raid than even the substance of the OSP's claims.
Yes.
Because the OSP had denied that he wasn't even involved in the raid. But there was a lot of debates. I didn't hear you on your feet in Parliament. But why was it such a big issue for both sides, this raid
Bernard,
issue?
I said to you that we have come far. We must begin to reap the fruits of the 1992 Constitution. Prior to 1992, these were the things that were happening. You'll be invited to BNI, Yoko, and all those places at the time, serious fraud office. They will waste your time, they will raid your house, they will torment you, they will torment your family. By the time you come out, psychologically, you are not yourself. All that we are saying is that, look, an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. Yes, it must have happened in the past, And so people think it should happen now, right? We are saying that it is not necessary. Let's begin to allow due process of law work. Bernard, a country is not built by machoism. It's built by certain good standards, values. Bernard, Guinness is what it is because of its values. City is what it has become because of its values. It is the values we choose to adopt that would make us a different nation. So if you want to do a reset, then this is where we should reset.
Fantastic.
The reset should be, let's begin to comply with due process of law.
Martin, I know you have to go, but permit me to take a short break and take a comment from you before you depart. This is the point of view. We're looking at a very busy past 24 hours, raid on the former finance minister's house, OSP press conference declaring him a fugitive and a wanted man, and the Attorney General explaining why he's dropped charges or discontinued cases or filed nolle prosequi in a number of high-profile political cases. Stay with us.
After a long flight, Safari Homes gives you the peace to unwind. A short drive from the airport, convenient for all. For nature lovers, Safari Valley Resort is a hidden gem, surrounded by lush greenery and luxury amenities. A place where you can truly escape. Now, for water adventure, Aqua Safari Resort has it all. Jet skis, canoe rides, kayaking, and a visit to the estuary. And for more excitement, Safari Eco Park is the perfect place to get closer to some amazing animals.
Visit Safari World in Ghana, together bringing you closer to nature.
Do you want a healthy smile?
Have you ever experienced tooth sensitivity, especially when drinking or eating something hot or cold? It could be a sign of enamel erosion or gum recession. Hi, I'm Tanya from Bethel Dental Clinic, Ghana. Gum recession is where the gum pulls away from the tooth, exposing the root or neck of the tooth underneath. To prevent and treat enamel erosion, during your periodic dental visits, your dentist may offer fluoride treatments. Fluoride is a mineral that strengthens the teeth. When there is advanced gum recession, your dentist may need to place a composite filling to cover the exposed second layer part of the tooth. Don't wait till you start experiencing tooth sensitivity. Be diligent with your routine dental visits every 6 months to maintain your best oral health.
Healthy smile.
Welcome back. So tonight we're trying to make sense of a very busy 24 hours, a raid on the former finance minister's home, a press conference by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, who has declared the former finance minister a fugitive from justice. And then another press conference by the Attorney General explaining why he's had to discontinue certain cases and also declare some of the cases nolle prosequi. Martin, thanks for staying. I wonder your quick comment on, we haven't seen a full video. We've seen like screenshots of the people who entered the house. We understand the finance minister or former finance minister was not home. But for someone who's fought this type of thing for a long time, what do you make of this? And also because the OSP says he had nothing to do with this. He actually thought it was staged. And of course, in Parliament earlier today, we had Mahama Yariga identify that the person who led the raid was Richard Jakpa, who he describes as somebody from the National Security outfit. This was what the majority leader confirmed, and I followed the debate. I think at the time you were, I don't know if you were on air. What do you make of that whole spectacle?
Oh, well, so, Bernard, from experience, the thing I want to do is that we have to, maybe you guys need to seek an interview with National Security to find out if they had a warrant for that. You know, under the Securities and Intelligence Agencies Act, yes, usually National Security would go and seek a warrant. You say, so they seek a warrant from the courts to do those things. Because you know that what happens is that national security, from what we call in the constitution, they are not a police force. They are not a military force. You remember, and the Ayawasu West Wagon Commission report made it clear, and Ghanaians, of course, is out of the uproar. You know, public opinion works sometimes. So it's out of the uproar the Ghanaian people showed, etc. Then it went to the commission, and the commission was very clear that national security, as we call it, if you look in the constitution, they basically are involved in analysis. Okay, they gather information and analyze to see the external and internal threats, security matters, things that can blow up this country. Things even like water shortage, maybe in Adenta, and having maybe thousands of citizens complaining, grumbling. You never know. Then it can cause anger, and they will march to the Jubilee House and seek to throw out the president, etc. So when we say national security, it's not about guns, etc. So when you see them going into homes to do this, then usually either they have the police, so police will do that because police have police powers, or if it's national security, national security, that's purely national security officers, from the act, usually they would seek a warrant. You need a warrant to enter a private home to search and do those things. So I want that, please, maybe even if they won't give interview, then maybe let's do right to information to ask that question.
Okay.
That's the main thing, because if they have the warrant, then it means that the judge granted, or if it's the police who did it, then, but even police usually, no. The police have the power to search when it's in a public space, but to enter the house and start searching rooms, no.
All right. We will let me take your bite on the AG, and I've been informed that there could be a reaction from the OSP's office during the show, because I think they are watching and they want to make a reaction. But based on my prior discussion with you on the time, Dominic Ayine, the AG, held a press conference today and outlined a number of reasons for discontinuing about 6 or 7, 8 cases. He says ethical and professional considerations, because there were some of the cases he was involved in, the Atu Forcing case or Sambafu case. Then he said he used the word defective charges, and in that he used the Collins Dauda, Republic of Scotland Dauda case, Saglemi housing matter, and then insufficient evidence in the Opuni matter. And then, of course, in the defective charges as well, he made reference to the BOG governors matter. And then he ended by just basically talking about judicial conduct and fair trials, where he said some of the judges had not been fair. Again, what do you make of that? The whole discontinuing these cases initially, and then maybe a week or two after coming to now explain why he did so. Where do you sit on this?
Okay, so naturally, I'll not be, even time will not allow us to do each case. So maybe we'll do 2 and then leave the rest for another time. Number 1, you see the discontinuing and then coming to give reasons later. Next time, we will pray that Dr. Ayine will do the 2 simultaneously.
Okay.
Because you see that they lost a lot of goodwill because he didn't bring the reasons earlier. Yes, except that we also must laud him, we must commend him for bringing out the reasons. This is what we've been fighting for. You know, media, you guys are doing a lot of good stuff. You know, the pressure over the years, culminating in the Afuku case in the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court said, well, it's not compulsory under Article 88 or Section 54 and 59 of the Criminal Procedure Act for the Attorney General to give reasons. You see, the Supreme Court didn't realize that the nation is changing, so they should, you know, move forward like the way they did the 31st December case. They didn't. They just laid back and said, no, the law can be changed, but for them, they don't see the need. So Ayine has moved us forward. He has moved our constitution forward, our democracy forward by bringing the reasons. But next time, he should merge the 2, that the reasons are readily available at the time of discontinuing. Then number 2, so some of the cases, it's good he did because they were an embarrassment. Number 1 on that list is the Atu Forcing case. Godfrey Dame had no business going to the Supreme Court. I think he got too involved in that case. He got too attached. There is a case that had embarrassed him, had shown his unethical conduct, and he was lucky that so far he's not been hauled before the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council. After the Supreme Court says, if a judge finds a lawyer involved in said conduct, the judge should refer that lawyer to the General Legal Counsel. But in this case, and especially, I know the judge may not be happy, but I will continue to say it so she too should get feedback and see that it's a democracy. This is Bernard acts around. She's about the sternest judge, very, very stern. I mean, but fair to the law. So I was shocked that she couldn't take that action against Godfrey Dami. That's like, what? I mean, come on, look at it. You got the tape where Godfrey Dami was coaching the witness to go lie to the court, coaching the witness to go procure a fake medical certificate. And yet the judge couldn't refer him to the General Legal Counsel. It was shocking. Look, you can go on the ground and do a survey. You'll find that that judge is very stern. If it were any other judge, any other lawyer, oh man, it will go. So that made a lot of us lose confidence in the system, and those things were unethical under the inherent jurisdiction of the court.
So you agree with Ayine on the Atuforcing, clearly?
Absolutely, 150%. There's no argument about that case. No argument. That's why I said there's no time. This area falls under what we call the law of disclosures. There is an inherent power. You won't find it in a textbook like from Parliament. It's part of the creation of the court, like the way we say human rights are inalienable. Okay. That's the same way there's an inherent power in the judge to stop such a trial if you find a prosecutor misconducting himself by that. So,
of course, so clearly the Court of Appeal sort of ended that whole thing in the way they ruled. So I think we can move on. Which other case were you interested in? Since you say you can't comment on all, which of the cases are you interested in commenting on?
Opuni, yes, Opuni's own too. At least people, though I didn't see the file deep, but people that I have respect for who looked at the case made the point that Dr. Ayine made, that they said the fertilizer is good. So people said no, they don't see the basis for charging Opuni. And see Ayine is this repeated it. And some witnesses came to court to say so. So the Opuni want to, yes, there's basis to stop. It looked like it was just a political witch hunt. The third case I'm interested in, and that one, we are not done. Let's have a full program. Bernard, I beg you.
Okay.
It's the Collins Dowda matter.
Okay.
So Ayine is saying that because they said they received 200 million and that the deduction was not made for the work done. So we beg him, they should go and do the value for money audit, do the deduction, and let's see the balance. Please don't let this case fall off your radar. We need to go into it. Yes, let's go and do the value for money audit, all those things, and see, have we received all our $200 million worth, or there is change? I will be holding Dr. Ayine accountable on this case until we get to the bottom of it. I beg, let's do it. We are all Ghanaians. Me, I voted for them because I was not happy with Bafo and his people. But it doesn't mean that we keep quiet.
But don't forget, he also said that he was, the fact that the subsequent housing minister also allegedly did some transactions within that whole process but was not accused. So we also found it a bit odd. But he felt that...
But the Supreme Court says, no, that's where reason.
Okay.
You can add attachment if you think so. That's why I said, Bernard, let me repeat. Let's go and do the value for money audit, etc. Then we'll see where the chips will fall.
Wonderful.
So this case there, I'll remind you, I'll take your number. I've lost it. I'll take you from Salem. 1 month from now, I'll remind you.
No problem.
Pushing.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you. You are free to stay on because you did say you had to leave before. But let me speak to Sami Darko has made an interview. He wants to make an intervention. Sami Darko is with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Sami, forgive me if I've forgotten your position in the OSP. I'm growing old. So what is your role in the office so that I can properly introduce you, Sami?
Thank you very much, Bernard. I'm the Director for Strategy, Research and Communication.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So you are the one we should be talking to us about all this. So you categorically deny the OSP's involvement in the raid. You even actually said it was a what do you call it? I forget the English we use, but
yes, I can go on, but I called in because you have to forgive me. I have been in meetings all day.
Yeah.
My attention has been drawn to a few misconceptions that have been said on your show by the lawyer for BCU and now an MP, I think.
You think
Yes.
he is actually an MP? It's not you think he's actually a full MP.
I have not really followed.
Yes, I know. You're a busy man. So yes, Lawyer Bafo. So what did he say and what do you want to react to?
Yes. So a few things about the BCU case, a few things about the issues he raised that the OSP wants to always play to the gallery. But before that, let me just address the issue that we raised. The OSP, yes, has categorically denied. And it's not just because we've categorically denied. Whatever evidence that is now being put out there, the intelligence is that this evidence was already in existence at the time that the OSP was being linked to this particular alleged raid. And so it is obvious that the sponsors of this propaganda, having come to the conclusion that it cannot stick with the OSP, has now decided to take a part of what the SP said to mean that how come the SP has said that intelligence said that the Honorable Ken would have staged it. But that's not how the SP put it. The SP said that we categorically deny it. And even if it happened, it's either staged or it is an imposter action. So this whole idea to just take one part and blow it up, we do understand the propaganda business.
But now that it has emerged that Mr. Richard Jakpa led the team, the Mahama Yarga in Parliament actually confirmed that Mr. Jakpa works with national security. Would the position of OSP be tenable in relation to saying it was staged? Why would Mr. Jakpa lead uniformed people to the house and that would also be part of a staged thing? Because that's
what I said, that the OSP didn't just make one statement. It says that it's either stage or an imposter action.
But that would still be serious. To describe.
Course, but if it's an imposter, because the allegation. Say again. I'm coming. The allegation by the media and persons close to Mr. Honorable Ken had been that the OSP was behind the raid. The OSP's intelligence shows that the OSP did not conduct that raid, and that is what the media ought to let the people of Ghana understand. How they want to move the goalpost to, the SP has said that it was staged, that means things will not. No. For instance, Mr. Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, we do not know which of the houses the alleged national security operatives went to. Remember, traditionally, people think that the house that they've known to be the house of Honorable Ofori-Atta is where he stayed. That's not the house we know him to stay in. We know him to stay in another house. So we cannot tell whether whatever they did. So if our intelligence tells us that we have not done that and that it could have been an imposter action, that is what it is. But what is important is the fact that it is now obvious that that propaganda falls flat, that the OSP had nothing to do with it. And that feeds it into the propaganda that I wanted to dispel, that the OSP appears to do things to court public attention and all that. That is not true. They keep on citing the issue of Madame Cecilia Dapa. And Madame Cecilia Dapa's case was a very simple case where the OSP had to conduct what we call emergency search. And a lot of people have not familiarized themselves with the OSP Act. So if you go into Act 959, Section 34 gives the OSP power to do emergency searches. It says, where an authorized officer suspects on reasonable grounds that a particular property is tainted, will provide evidence as to the commission of an offense. It's necessary to exercise the power of search. It gives all the indices and then the indications under which the OSP can conduct an emergency search. And at the time Ms. Dapa was being investigated, the intelligence that came was that there was money in her house and we had to conduct an emergency search. Now, when you do an emergency search, you are just applying due process. That doesn't mean that you are courting any public.
Fair enough. But his reference was to Mr. Bisu and the way you went about.
Mr. Bisu, that is even a very simple matter than even. Mr. Bisu took us to court and his lawyer had even deposed to an affidavit that the OSP had procured an arrest warrant. And the OSP had made this argument over and over that the OSP exercises full police powers under Section 28 of the OSP Act. And when you exercise full police powers, you realize that if you go to the Criminal Procedure Code or Act, Section 10 allows police officers, OSP, to arrest without a warrant. It's law 101. Anybody in the law school should understand that the OSP has the power to arrest without a warrant. So if you indulge me, I will just quickly read Section 10 of Act 30, which is our Criminal Procedure Act.
Okay.
And it's very simple. It just says that if a law enforcement officer, a police officer, or in this case, the OSP, a police officer may arrest without warrant any person who commits an offense in his presence, blah, blah, you go to 2. A police officer may arrest without warrant any person he suspects on reasonable grounds, A, of having committed an offense. So we have simply extended an invitation to Mr. Bisu to respond. And he flatly refused and gave reasons the OSP found to be untenable. And in that score, the OSP declared him wanted. On that basis, he had gone to court to secure an ex parte injunction for about 10 days. And the deposition that was made, where it is even very serious, was that the lawyer deposed to an affidavit claiming that the OSP had obtained a warrant through fraud, and the lawyer could not prove this in court. It's the reason why the OSP won that case. So Charles Bisu never won any case in court. As we speak, Charles Bisu has gone to the Supreme Court on the basis that trying to again stop the OSP from doing its work and all that. But the point we are making is that the OSP does not act outside the law. It acts within the law. We have even heard today some propagandists go around and sending messages around that Ken Ofori-Atta is a person of interest. Ken Ofori-Atta is not a person of interest. In law, there's a wide and big gap between a suspect and a person of interest. Ken Ofori-Atta is a suspect. A suspect is not the same.
So that's a good addition for us, because that question was asked there as well. So the question that follows is, can't you proceed without his being here? Did you need to tell the whole world that he's a fugitive of justice? If you believe that you have evidence that he's done something wrong and he's unavailable, can the matter not proceed without his being physically here?
No, the matter cannot proceed without being physical. Let me tell you something. The OSP, this is not the first time the OSP has even taken and interviewed people outside this jurisdiction in very big investigations we've done before. The OSP, when it finds it necessary that, and the OSP in the Sicily-Adapa matter even did interview a person of interest all the way in the United States without we having to personally go there. Ken Ofori-Atta is a suspect. Now, if you need a suspect, there are several reasons why you need a suspect. You need a suspect to charge a suspect. You need a suspect to take the charge caution statement and all those things. Now, we have to situate in a certain context. You are accused of rape, and then the police officer calls you, and you tell the police officer that you are in your hometown, you are not feeling well, so you have gone for traditional medication, and that you are not too sure when you'll be done with this traditional treatment. And so when you are done with the traditional treatment, you come to Accra and then respond. Please, this is not a civil case. This is a criminal case. You are being charged for rape, and you are giving them your timelines. If you also then tell the native doctor that, okay, can you give me a letter to support me? And the letter just simply says that, oh, I'm the native doctor, I'm attending to him, and I think that I'll be treating him for this, and after that, I'll treat him for that. And so give and take, you have to give him more time, and they are not specific. No serious law enforcement agency would take that as a reason, especially in a criminal trial.
So have you written back to the medical facility asking for better and further particulars?
No, we don't need to write to the medical facility. We are not the one to prove anything. You, the suspect, are the one who has to do all that. Bernard, at Channel 1, if one of your employees tomorrow decides not to turn up, you're going to hold the person responsible unless the person brings a medical report or something substantiating why he's not there. So we can't even shift it to the OSP. The point we are making is that the OSP is a very reasonable organization, a very reasonable law enforcement agency. It has said that it always go on the civil tangent by inviting you, by trying to use all the necessary processes to get you there. It's only when you refuse to attend, then the OSP will apply the necessary measures and to ensure your attendance to the OSP. And when we do that, that is not playing to the gallery. When we do that, that is not because we want to disgrace somebody. We do that because that is the due process that we have to follow. So we only declare you wanted when you decide to give us the opportunity to do so. If Mr. Ofori-Atta turns himself in, there will be no need for this drama. Like we said, nobody even knew we were investigating Mr. Ofori-Atta. Some people have said that, why are you now investigating Mr. Ofori-Atta? Who said that we just started investigating Mr. Ofori-Atta? None of the cases we put out today, the investigation did not start this January or 2025. It's a long investigation we've been doing. People have been talking that OSP is not doing anything, but investigation takes time. And when the time is right, and some people have also said that, why is it that when Mr. Ofori-Atta was leaving the jurisdiction, you did not stop him and all that? No. Every Ghanaian is free to go for any medical treatment, whether here in Ghana or abroad. Now, when the law enforcement agency needs your attendance, then you need to now properly attend. Unless you are saying that you are bedridden, we cannot put you on a flight, or sitting in a flight will be a risk for you. There must be strong reasons why you cannot physically be in the office. Then alternatives can be made. But where no strong reason is provided, nothing says you are bedridden, nothing says that you cannot be on a flight back to Ghana, then it means that you are just not taking the institution serious. Right. You are just not taking the whole investigation serious. So please, let's understand that the OSP is not in for fanfare. It is a serious agency, and it does work according to law. Not a single case has the OSP not followed the law. The problem is that many people, including lawyers, have not taken their time to study the laws of the OSP. They've always thought that the OSP is just like the police or like Yoko, and so they have not painstakingly gone through our laws. Our laws were specifically made for the OSP, and we follow the law to the letter. So please, all right. When we say we have declared him a fugitive, we are just saying that he's a suspect. All right. We need that. We need.
Sammy, thank you for your intervention. I'm sure you know that Lawyer Bafo has a right of response as well. So you are free to stay on. But I'll let Mr. Bafo respond to the specific points you made before we move to other matters. So, Lawyer Bafo.
First and foremost, in reaction to what he said, well, in this country, when all the media houses said the OSP has obtained an arrest warrant for Charles Bisu, it's a matter of fact. The OSP heard it. Did it come out to deny it? It didn't. That was the subject of contention in the application before the court. The judge sitting at the High Court thinks otherwise. For the benefit of the jurisprudence of this country, we've gone to the Supreme Court. Whether or not the OSP, right, in the exercise of its discretion, can act without a warrant, right? And so that application is not to frustrate the OSP or stop the OSP from investigating Charles Bisu. Okay. It was just to ensure that due process of law was complied with. Okay. When you look at the Criminal Offences and Other Act, I'm happy he says that under the OSP Act, they have the power of the police. I agree. I'm very familiar with the OSP Act. I'm familiar with their mandate, which is to investigate corruption and corruption-related offences under Act 29, under the any other law, and also breaches of procurement. Their mandate in terms of criminal prosecution, investigation and prosecution is just 3. When you look at the Criminal and Other Offences Act, Procedure Act 30, this is what it says. Our interest in Section 1(2), subsection 2, it says, an offence under any other enactment shall, subject to that enactment, be inquired into, tried, and dealt with in accordance with this act. I am saying that under Act 30, the police would not just declare a person wanted unless they have obtained a warrant from court. I'm saying that the police cannot enter into a person's premises to search a person without a warrant from court. And so if they think that they have any other power besides what is granted them by Act 30, very respectfully, that is where the problem has always been. That is where the problem has always been. And so
quickly also respond.
And it is
quickly.
It's very
for him to. I want him to avert.
It's very important.
No,
you see,
no, hold on.
You see,
Sammy, hold on.
Sammy,
you get a bite.
Sammy, there's something I need to advert your mind to. When you are practicing law, we are not enemies. You've encountered me, had certain banters with me, called me names on Facebook and so on and so forth. But very respectfully, when we are lawyers, we are not enemies. We are protecting our clients. We work for the special prosecutor. I also, for that moment, work for a particular client. I may not work for him tomorrow. I may work for him for a lifetime. So you need to appreciate this, and in our discourse, don't see me as your enemy. It's not necessary. It's not healthy. Now, when you talk about what the OSP has done over the years, since its inception, look, constantly we have seen agencies that have similar powers like OSP. That is Yoko. Have you ever heard Yoko in the news? But it is working.
But these guys are new and they are setting up, so it's probably a different trajectory.
When you look at their
and the law that set them up is different.
When you look at their act, they are supposed to give us regular periodic updates. And their act specifies the period within which they are supposed to update us.
Is that not why they come into the media?
So there is a procedure, there is a manner by which they ought to do it. It is not to hold press conferences on individual cases.
That's how they choose to do it.
No. You see?
Does the law tell them how they should update the public?
Yes.
But they do publish reports because they send that
to
the
the
media.
Procedure.
They send the reports to us. But we in the media like the fact that they also engage. So if you send a report, look, I'm a journalist. You can send a report, which is a 25-page document or 100 pages. If you engage the public and take questions, it helps the process.
On the report, Bernard, you see, we need to appreciate this. When a statute prescribes...
Sammy, hold on. No, Sammy, just relax. We have time. Sammy, just relax. Let him talk.
When a statute prescribes the procedure for taking a particular step, it is that step alone you must
So does the
comply
fact
with.
that you have to issue reports preclude you from holding press conferences?
You can hold a press conference on that report.
Says who? Which part of the law are you quoting?
Bernard, I'm quoting the case of NTAC.
No, right? What I'm saying is that the fact that somebody is supposed to quote, that somebody is supposed to give you a report, does not mean they can't hold press conferences.
Bernard, we are looking at the interpretation of the statute. You are looking at what you consider to be prudent. We are looking at the interpretation of the law.
No, if the statute asks you to do something, that does not mean that's the only thing you are supposed to do.
The statute says that you are supposed to give the public a periodic report.
Correct. But that does not mean you cannot engage the media in explaining your cases. You are sort of joining the two. They are not the same.
Bernard, when you are the creation of statute, you cannot do anything outside of the statute.
So are you saying that
it
must be explicitly hold on. This is not even law. Are you saying that for a public-facing institution to address the press and give them updates on what they are doing, the law must explicitly ask them to do so?
The law says that give periodic reports on the cases you are doing. Bernard, it is not for nothing. You see, when it comes to criminal investigations, you are dealing with human rights. If you are not careful, you will tarnish images even before you are done with your investigations. If you are not careful, you will soil names. Bernard, we have to be very careful the way and manner we handle things.
But if we go to this route, police will not give us any updates. They will just say they are investigating a matter. Then there will be no updates from Yoko.
Bernard,
there will be no updates from... Which is why national security hasn't talked to anybody for what they do. For example, last week, there was a supposed raid on some place for 12 containers. Wouldn't you have been happy as an MP if they had come to explain what they had found and explain what they saw?
Bernard,
as against simply putting out the video.
You see, Bernard, we have to be careful. You know, I keep quoting the Bible, which is that, you know, sometimes not everything that we think is right is right. Bernard, it is not for nothing that the longest serving investigative body like the police doesn't do some of these things. Bernard, you risk tarnishing people's image.
They only recently started, to be fair. They've been actually been giving updates. And all people are not happy with that.
That is why they need to take a cue They need to learn.
You think it's good for police to issue test statements and not engage the media? If you watch international TV and there's a developing story, there are regular updates from the sheriff, there are regular press conferences. This is good public governance where the media ask relevant questions on behalf of the people. We are not saying tarnish people's reputation, but when public-facing institutions are paying taxpayers' money, the fourth essence of the realm deserves the chance to question them.
Let me ask you a question. When Cecilia Dapa's house was raided, and it was accompanied by cameras, they went into Cecilia Dapa's house with the media. Was that the best of things? Subsequently, what happened in court?
That's different from a press conference.
No, but
so I'm talking about briefing the public on what you are doing.
I am saying that if you have done a report, nothing stops you from speaking to the report.
Correct.
But if you are constantly engaging the media, telling them in a manner which is even suggestive that the person is no more, if you like, an accused person. Like you've made conclusive positions, you've taken conclusive positions on persons, right? It is not proper. For instance, I have seen a letter from the OSP where somebody has written to them, and I'll tell you, Charles Bisu, we wrote to them saying that, please, Charles is out of the jurisdiction. Give us a little time to bring him. Their response, if he doesn't come, threatening response, we are going to put him on international red alert. We are going to put him on international red alert. We are going to inform Interpol. The person has written to you that, look, I'm out of the jurisdiction. Allow me to come on a particular date. For some domestic, another time, we wrote to them saying that for domestic accident, he cannot come. Please allow us a week to bring him. The next letter, a threatening letter. The person is treated almost like the OSP is a court that has passed the judgment. It's not like a suspect. I am saying that, look, very respectfully, it is important we fight corruption. It is important, but let's respect due process of law.
All right. Fair enough. Let me just take a final bite from Samir. You are concluding now, so you are here.
Yes.
Samir, your reaction?
Yes, Bernard. My only concern, forgive me, I've forgotten his name.
Lawyer Bafo.
Lawyer Bafo. I've never engaged him on social media before, so the point that I have on social media said things about him is inaccurate. Now, my only problem is that there's a penchant to always put out inaccurate information. Let me start with his client, Bisu. The OSP gave his client several opportunities to appear before her. They kept pausing and giving different reasons. So the OSP just don't get up and say, we need you. We would have given you several opportunities. When you blow it up, is when the OSP then decide that you are taking the agency for granted. Secondly, he talked about the OSP went to Cecilia Dapa's house with cameras. These are all part of the inaccurate information that was championed by, I think, Paul Adumotre and some MPP sympathizers. The OSP never went to Madame Dapa's house with any media. Not a single.
So how did those images come out?
So let me tell you something. Are you aware that if the OSP was interested in, say, putting out anything about Madame Dapa, all our searches are recorded, because that's why the SP today said that if the OSP had entered Mr. Ofori-Atta's house, he would have known that the OSP would have entered, because we would have entered with him. And we tried to record almost every other thing so that you do not come out and say that OSP did this and did that. When media houses get wind of Madame Dapa's arrest and decide to pitch camp in front of Madame Dapa's house, we did not even know Madame Dapa's house. She took us to her house. So OSP did not go with media fanfare as Paul and those who do a lot of propaganda for the MPP had portrayed. Now, secondly,
can we restrict ourselves to those who are here? But continue.
Yes.
Let's restrict ourselves.
I need to do that. Secondly, the OSP is not the same as police. The OSP is never the same as Yoko. And this is the confusion in the minds of many people, including Lawyer Bafo. They have always thought that the OSP is like police and the OSP is like Yoko. Now that Lawyer Bafo is in Parliament, I will urge him to go back to the Hansard and read the rationale behind the transparency nature of the creation of the OSP. He talked about portion of our law. I'll tell him it's section 3, sub 3 A and B, which says that the office shall, on a half-yearly basis, publish the following. That's what he was talking about. Built inside the OSP is accountability to the people of Ghana. It says that every 6 months, the OSP must update Ghanaians. That is one way of accountability by the office. It is not the OSP that wishes to update Ghanaians. That provision, you cannot find it in the IOCO Act. You will not find it in the National NIB Act. You will not find it in the Police Act. And you will not find it in any other agency act. The only act you can find, Bernard, let me wrap up. This is very important, is the OSP. Apart from that, he must also avert his mind to our LI 2374. If you go to Regulation 31, it puts a lot of things that the OSP has to do, including even when they are going to become MPs and they are to be nominated as ministers. It says that the OSP must be able to say whether this person is qualified to be a minister by virtue of whether he has not engaged in corruption. Now, I will list it out. It says that the OSP, the office may collate reports, documents, materials, complaints, allegations, information, and intelligence to undertake the following measures to prevent corruption: analysis of the risk of corruption, anti-corruption programs, anti-corruption assessment of legislation and draft legislation, provision of information in relation to persons applying for or holding a position in the ministries, departments, and agencies, provision of information to the public. It goes on to talk about the OSP must take steps to even correct culture. So it is not for fun, Lawyer Bafo, that the OSP engages in all the things you are seeing. For you, you think that the OSP is like police. The OSP has an extensive power when it comes to search than the police.
Fair enough. Sami, the last question. Sami, the last question.
We need to let him understand.
We have different views. So I think your point is clear. I just wanted to ask you.
But these are backed by law. So he needs to also read.
No problem. Don't assume. Sami, don't assume that he hasn't read it. I think the point you have made.
It doesn't matter whether he has read or not. I'm saying that he must avert his mind to it. When he averts his mind to it, he'll be able to tell the public hey, the OSP has emergency search powers.
His concern, though, is that...
And that is different from the Ghana police. So you cannot expect the OSP to act like your regular police. For instance, OSP does not do pen and paper investigation. The moment we mention your name, that Bernard, you are needed by the OSP, it means that the OSP has gathered enough intelligence and evidence to show that you have committed a crime. Until Professor Frimpong Boateng came out to tell Ghanaians we were investigating him, nobody knew. But by the time Professor Frimpong Boateng came out, that was 3 months prior. After we had invited and interviewed him, 3 months, nobody knew.
But in the fair enough. In the course of your work, are you saying you don't need a recourse to a court to assist you? So you are saying, for example, that for a warrant, you don't need an arrest warrant from a court to arrest a person that
No, we have never said that. For instance, as we have declared, how do you call it? Mr. Ofori-Atta, of course we have a warrant for his arrest. So of course we do have. We are just saying that the law
provides, let the record reflect too.
The law provides law enforcement agencies power to arrest without a warrant.
Okay.
And that is in Act 30. He decided not to avert his mind.
So you are clarifying that on the matter of Ken Ofori-Atta, you have secured an arrest warrant?
It's not about we have secured an arrest warrant. I said that there is an arrest warrant because Ken Ofori-Atta is a suspect.
So the warrant is from where?
The warrant is always from the court.
Fair enough.
So you can arrest with a warrant and you can arrest without a warrant. For instance, he's out of the jurisdiction. We need him. Yes. You have to, there will be a warrant for his arrest. But if Ken Ofori-Atta is in the jurisdiction and we need to arrest him, we don't need a warrant.
But if, okay.
Section 10 is very clear.
So let me...
When police come to your house and you are accused of rape or any other offense, they don't come with a warrant all the time. Warrant is needed. For instance, if we are not doing an emergency search, we come to your home with a warrant. Because it's not an emergency search.
Thank you for your...
Are you getting me? So we work with the courts
So I just wanted to be clear that as of the time you declared him a fugitive of justice, had you secured an arrest warrant?
Refer to what the OSP has said. The OSP was very clear and said this. It says that the special prosecutor has signed an arrest warrant for Kenneth Nana Yao, Ofori-Atta, former Minister of Finance.
Correct.
So the OSP was very clear. And we have to make the point very clear that the OSP is not like the police. In fact, of all the agencies he's mentioned, the OSP is the only agency that has 7-year non-renewable tenure. We are not like any other agency. The OSP is the only one that has independent prosecution. We don't need to take any other warrant from Attorney General to proceed. So please, don't try to confuse OSP with police.
Fair enough. Thank you for your intervention, Sami. It's been very helpful. We'll thank you for your intervention. We are still on the point of view. We will take a break. When we come back, we will take a final bite from Bafo on this matter and then his view on the Attorney General's press conference today. We're live as well. We'll take some of your comments. Don't go away.
Life is a celebration of moments. Big and small. The sun is scorching, I'm feeling the heat. With Piva Drink, every moment becomes a refreshing celebration. From the beach to your home, in every corner of your world, Piva Drink adds a burst of refreshment. Give me Piva cocktail and tangerine. Celebrate every moment with Piva Drink. Refreshment for every occasion. Piva Drink, a taste you will love. P for Piva.
This advert is FDA approved.
One upgrade is nice, but a double upgrade is amazing. And that's how we do it. Upgrade today to get even more with Step Up. If you're on GoTV Max and upgrade to GoTV Super, you'll get way more with GoTV Super Plus.
It's so cool!
Get big value. Get big entertainment.
Very good.
Perfect! Upgrade and get even more with GoTV.
Man.
GoTV. Love it.
The traditional view within the legal profession has always been that the Attorney General owes nobody an explanation for his decision to enter a nolle prosequi, which is Latin for there shall be no prosecution, or terminate a prosecution. But that view does not comport with the architecture of our Constitution, and I absolutely disagree with it under Article 88, Clause 3 in some of the cases. These cases were the Republic versus Kesiel Atoforsen and another, and the Republic versus Ofosu-Ampofo and another. This is because I was deeply involved as counsel in these two cases. In the case of Republic versus Atoforsen, I was not counsel on record, but my junior partner, Godwin Kujo Tamaklo, also known as Eduji, was a counsel on record. As a team, we discussed our strategy in chambers, and I was involved in reviewing legal arguments and in some instances, authoring some of the arguments that we filed in court. I believed then, and still believe now, that the Honorable Atoforsen was a victim of a political witch hunt. Whether this is going to be my posture in all other cases in which my firm is involved. The answer is no. The answer is no. That is because in some of the criminal cases, and I don't think my firm has taken any cases that are as high profile as this, right? But if they are defending
so that was Dominic Ayine, the Attorney General, explaining why he's had to either discontinue certain cases or file a nolle prosequi. I know the Ken case is big and you've been going back and forth. We've even brought the Bisu case, Cecilia Dapa. They didn't even think we'll be mentioning their names on air. So I really want to move on. So I just wanted your comment on this, because this is also a big issue.
Sure.
Yes. What's your comment on this?
Bernard, very respectfully. I wanted to say something in reaction, but I'll leave the public to make their judgment between myself and Samedako. It appears to the OSP that he even has more powers than the Attorney General. But the power he has is a fraction of the power of the Attorney General. And so that whole thought or whatever he thinks, it's not true. You cannot be more powerful than the Attorney General. You cannot be more powerful than the police. The only difference between itself and the police is the fact that it has the power to prosecute. It has the power to prosecute. The police derives its power to prosecute from the Attorney General. That's the only difference. And so it shouldn't think that it is more powerful than the police. The police is a constitutional body. You are a statutory body. And that is where they are always having problems. But let me move on. Bernard, today, Dr. Dominic Ayeni has earned my respect. No, let me not say that. The respect I have for him has been enhanced.
Has gone up.
I've always respected him.
Okay.
I know that he's a principled person, and that I'm very happy he did what he did today. Except that he should have done it simultaneously. Okay. Right? But, it's better late than never. But I disagree with him very respectfully. I disagree with him. Now you say that it is not going to be your posture that cases that your firm is involved in, right, you are going to recuse yourself or file nolle prosequi, right? Why is it that in this instance you are doing it?
Well, because there are 3 other reasons he gave. So it's ethical, defective, and insufficient evidence. Good. So you have to take the 3 together.
So then the ethical reasons shouldn't have come in at all. Because under Article 88, the power to prosecute, right, can also be done under the authority of the AG. And it is for such a reason as this. Because it is envisaged that the only persons that can occupy that office are lawyers. And because it is also possible that we come from private practice, we may have dealt with people. And so we are likely to come or have such challenges. And therefore, it is possible that, yes, this case comes, I'm conflicted. I can't do it myself. So the Director of Public Prosecutions, I leave this case entirely to you and your team, right? Just update me. And so that ethical reason he raises...
No, but I explained it. He said that for the 2 cases, he believed while he was working on those cases that there was no matter to be. You understand? So it's not like the ethical principle runs, which is why when the reporter asked him whether that would be the poster, he says, if there's a case in which my firm is involved in and they are defending a murderer, I cannot say that because my firm is involved in that case, I'll not pursue it. So I think he distinguished, Bernard, at least from my listening to him. Yeah.
He was preceded by 2 attorney generals.
Yeah.
They formed a view which is contrary to his.
Yeah.
So we needed better details than he's given us.
Okay.
What he said is not enough.
Fair enough.
I'll give you an example. When you look at the governor of the Bank of Ghana matter, in respect of the cases, he himself admitted that there are 2 charges against him. Right? There are 2 charges against him. Bernard, but in coming to the conclusion that he will not pursue the prosecution, he just the explanation he gave us was based on his view on the law or the charge of willfully causing financial loss to the state and not the others. For instance, in the Dr. Dofo matter, there's another charge against him, against the governor of the Bank of Ghana, which for me is more serious and raises even question as to whether or not the man should even occupy that office. Bernard, listen.
We actually have just 3 minutes, so unless if you have time to go through all
Contravention of the Bank of Ghana Act 2002, contrary to sections 46H and 67A of the Bank of Ghana Act 2002. The facts in support of it is that he advanced an amount of $300 million to Merchant Bank for the benefit of Unibank Ghana Limited. So he wanted to give money to Unibank Ghana Limited, but he couldn't do so. So he gave it to Merchant Bank so that the money could be given to Unibank. Why did he do that? If you want to give money to Unibank, what stopped you from giving the money to Unibank? But
I thought the
wait, I'm coming. Without satisfying the prescribed conditions set out in the Bank of Ghana Act.
That's your emphasis.
Without satisfying the conditions. Bernard, he was a deputy governor when he did that. Now he's governor. Is he going to breach the laws of the Bank of Ghana?
Well, look, the man who has the case says, even there was an internal memo that essentially asked that there was no basis for the charges to stand. And he read copiously from that memo.
The internal memo, what that he read, it was all based on the second charge of willfully causing financial loss to the state. It never addressed the other charge. In both instances, he never addressed the other charges. The second point is that I have sought clarification on this matter from Godfrey Dame. And he tells me nothing of the sort exists. He says that the only memo that exists was an advice to separate the accused persons. Because in the case of Dr. Dufo, in the case of the Unibank matter, as you can see, it's Republic versus Bernard Avle and 8 others. So according to Dame, from what he has told me, per the memo, it made the trial difficult because then all these persons, the lawyers of all these persons, will cross-examine every witness. So it was going to make the trial laborious.
I see.
So the advice to him was to separate it. That's what he's told me.
Well, from what he read, the memo was in specific reference to the Dr. Isiama, which is why.
But did he show
and
the
he also,
memo?
He read. Hold on. The statement he gave us, he put the thing in quotation marks. So he quoted, and it's about 10 lines.
Bernard, what I'm saying is that there are 2 charges. He only gave us his view or position on one and did not address us on the other.
So you see why it's good for media to get interviews. So imagine after this press conference and a report, if I had him in the studio here, I would have then put this question to him.
The AG is not constrained by a statute.
No, I'm just trying to pull a fast one.
The special prosecutor is constrained by a statute.
Ben, is the MP saying OSP doesn't know the law? Kisia Jabin said Confucius is a fugitive from justice, not a fugitive. John from Medina says this. Kojo sends a message. He says, Ben, the OSP already addressed the Sierra case that they did not invite the media. The media was already camped at a house in the heat of the case breaking. And another one says, Bernard, you cannot start a criminal prosecution absentia. Sedinam was here and was charged and stood trial before she left the country. The two are not the same. So, well, we have to leave it here. I've been having a whole lot of interesting discussions with legal people. MP for Menchia South. I call him Lawyer Bafo, although he says I should mention his full name.
No, you call me Lawyer Bafo. I like it.
Lawyer Bafo, thank you for being on the show. And also Martin Kpebu, private legal practitioner, a member of the oral team. We didn't discuss oral today. And then we had an intervention from Sami Daku, who's in charge of strategy and communications from the OSP. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.